Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Khalil Doheny. I'm head of content at Digital Niche Agency. Today, I have John from Airspace. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Cole.
Awesome. I'm really excited for today's discussion. I know you've put together a wonderful presentation for us, but could you kind of set the stage for the audience today? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what we can expect from the webinar today, and the whole reason behind all this.
Well, appreciate the opportunity. Hello, everybody. John Romanelli. I'm the founder and CEO of Airspace Experience Technologies. I'm coming to you from Hangar 7 here at Detroit City Airport, where behind me, you'll see the Sigma 6 aircraft physically waiting for flight testing. A little bit about myself. Spent almost 30 years in robotics, electronics, mostly in automotive, aerospace, and defense, building high reliability, mission critical electronics, the stuff that just can't fail or people really can get hurt. And I've had this privilege to do well in my career, afford to get into aerospace. I've owned a number of airplanes, and I've really changed my life. Being able to get in an airplane and skip traffic. I don't know about you, but I hate traffic. There's nothing that just drives me crazier than sitting in traffic. And I thought, with all the advances in electrification and autonomy and lightweight materials, there's really a tremendous opportunity to design an all new class of aircraft that is flexible, that is accessible for the mass traveling public. And that's what this is all about. And that's what I'm going to talk to you today.
Awesome. And like we mentioned, John's going to go through a presentation. We are going to have some time at the end for Q&A. So if you do have a question, please leave them in the chat box below. I do want to put out a disclaimer out there due to the SEC guidelines and with the crowdfunding campaign. We can't discuss anything, that's talking about projections, can't talking about, future looking statements. So if you do have any questions around that, I highly recommend to reach out to John directly or check out the Republic race page. With that being said, John, I'll pass the mic back to you.
Appreciate it, Quill. So here we are. As I mentioned to you before, I hate traffic, and I know a lot of you do too. And the reality is it's only getting worse. And when you frame it in the context of urban population growth, we're talking about going from 3.3 billion people in urban centers to some 5 billion people by 2030. And by then, people, food, and healthcare will have a difficult time moving around if we don't do something radically different. In the US, drivers wasted some 300 billion in wasted fuel and productivity. And it's not only just a waste of time, fuel, and money, but it's bad for our environment. Automotive exhaust is the leading source of pollution anywhere in the world. And not only is it bad for our environment, but it's really bad for our health. And when you take all the available technology that we have from electrification, lightweight materials, and autonomy, we really have an opportunity to elevate traffic. Oh, my hangar doors are open. Sorry. Hang on one second. You go tell those guys for me? Thanks. I got another set of hangars here, and naturally there's helicopters and planes coming to and from the hangar. So 1 second, if you'll bear with me. But we built an all new class of aircraft that can elevate traffic and cargo between cities, airports, and suburbs 5 times faster than driving for the price of a ride share or the equivalent price of a Class 8 semi-truck. And that's using clean, quiet, connected, and cost-effective technology. The Sigma 6, the vehicle right behind me, is a flexible aircraft system. One of the things that we learned when we were building aircrafts for our prime contract customer is the ability to flexibly plug in a different payload to do a different job. And we really love that. And the fact that in the future, we'll be able to plug and play a new payload to do a different job is something we felt that would really resonate with our customers, and it has. But the production intent vehicle will be able to lift as much as 2,000 pounds of anything. Pure electric, a little over 75 miles with batteries that we can buy today. battery technology is really improving, and we're excited about some of the battery technologies that we're looking at now. But we have a hybrid propulsion system that we'll be plugging in. We'll be able to go over 350 miles with a couple thousand pounds. But with 1,000 pounds, we'll be able to go as far as 760 miles with a hybrid configuration. One of the key requirements for us was low noise. Not only do we want to be operationally emission free, but we want to have a low noise signature. The last thing any of us really wants is a future in air mobility where we've got all these flying lawnmowers flying over our heads. And so we started off with a low noise requirement where this machine behind me has a low noise signature of less than 73 decibels at 100 feet. Our production intent vehicle will actually have, it'll be sub 70 decibels because the rotor size will actually increase in size. But one of the other key requirements for us was we started with design for mass production, which means we can't have any fancy shapes. There's no tapers, there's no sweeps in this aero structure, which makes it very, very manufacturable. And when it comes to risk reduction, we decided to begin operations as a remotely operated vehicle. We're not going to have a pilot in the cockpit. We're strictly looking at unmanned cargo, and after we've developed plenty of a track record for flight reliability, we'll then consider passenger mobility. We've got great traction and market validation. With this incredibly small team, we've got over 100 years of automotive and aerospace experience. As I mentioned, I've built over 55 small unmanned systems for defense and public safety. Our partners are leaders in the space of aerostructures and aero propulsion and energetics. Naturally, having a full-scale vehicle, it's no longer a paper airplane. It's no longer an animation. It's real. And the fact that we'll be able to build these things at scale, we expect to be a market leader by the end of the decade. We've got a library of intellectual property that's been filed, and most importantly, we've got MOUs for over 100 aircraft for cargo and passenger mobility. Most importantly, letters of intent from the Department of the Navy, and we've moved to phase 3 with the U.S. Air Force. We're now undergoing a response to a rapid prototype proposal, which we and our partners collectively will have a response by middle of May, and we're hoping for a contract here maybe by the end of summer. But this is a video that we shared with the U.S. Air Force early in January. This is what kind of put us over the edge and got us to phase 3. As you can see here, we've got an empty payload. We've got our ground robot. Amazingly, we built both the aircraft and the ground vehicle with this team in under 24 months for less than $2.5 million. Now, we spent since 2017 just under $5 million in total, but really the productivity and the capital efficiency, I think, is really remarkable. And with our machine, you'll be able to plug and play a fresh payload with a fresh set of batteries, and nobody's going to be sitting around waiting for this thing to recharge in a purely electric scenario. And if you are here right now, I certainly welcome all of you or anyone who's in the neighborhood to stop by and visit us and experience what it's like to hear or not hear the noise behind us. Connor, you spin that thing up for me. And it's really remarkable to experience how quiet the machine really is and how stable and sturdy the machine really is. And it's just this small team that we've worked with to deliver all this value. And we've got some innovations that we're not talking about today. Our traffic management system, we started testing that, something that we started developing 2015, 2016 timeframe. We're now doing flight testing. Whoa, and she's powered up. And yeah, so I can still have a conversation with you. And you know, this thing's alive. It's got almost 1,000 horsepower, 6,600 foot-pounds of torque. That's more torque than 12 Corvettes. And you know, our engineers say that this thing should be able to do somewhere between, you know, under 8 seconds, hit about 150 miles per hour. But pretty exciting. Thanks, Connor, for spinning that up. So great team we put together here. Massive market opportunity. We're looking at $1 trillion by 2040. We're really focused on the cargo and the defense market. And you know, from a SOM standpoint, by the end of the decade, we expect about $2.5 billion in orders, and which would be great. And by 2040, I'm expecting 10 times that in sales. So looking at 25 billion by 2040, maybe more, but we'll stick with that number for now. Our business model is to lease and sell these aircraft. We'll be selling them to the Department of Defense. We're looking at $1 million per vehicle. And if everything goes as planned, we'll expect that number to come down by somewhere around 50% by the end of the decade. So $2.5 billion by the end of the decade, and likely twice that by 2040. Our plan right now, what's really important is, you know, this crowdfunding campaign really came at a critical time. Last fall, our battery supplier was purchased by Nikola Motors, and right when they were supposed to deliver our batteries to begin flight testing, and unfortunately, Nikola canceled their order with us, which is a reason why we're not flying today. We've been validating a number of different battery suppliers. It does take some time. So the funds that you invest with us today will be used to fund a new battery and fund flight testing. We have a large defense company that's looking to make an investment, acquire 20% of the company here. Hopefully by the end of the year is what it's looking like, but we're signing an agreement with them in the next few weeks, and we're looking forward to announce that. But the Series A is 25 million, and we're looking to close that out this year. Next year, we hope to begin flying Block 1, which is our production intent vehicle. We will start contract manufacturing. We do have an agreement with Spirit Aerosystems to do detailed design for the production intent vehicle, as well as manufacture it for our defense customer. Our new strategic partner may elect to do the production themselves. So we'll see how that unfolds. But by 2028, we'd like to turn this building, which is over 250,000 square feet, and into our production facility, or we may decide to build new. We'll see how that unfolds. And people keep calling me. But so with that, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on this webinar today. Join us is really a short wick on this opportunity. We've got some major investors circling to join us, and it's really a great time to participate as an owner. And I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, John, for that wonderful presentation. I'm going to add the raise page link in the chat box below. So if anyone wants to check it out or have any more questions around the, use of proceeds or the projections, definitely check out the raise page. We want to take this opportunity to open it up for questions. So if you do have any questions, please add them in the Q&A chat box below. First question I see here is, have you actually flown the machine? Also, Archer released news Wednesday or Thursday that they will be taxing passengers to O'Hare in Chicago. How soon can we engage in something similar with a major airport? Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Jack. So we have ran the machine up, and we've ran it up to hover power. By law, we are not allowed to fly the aircraft without an experimental airworthiness certificate. We are working on that now. And So we will look forward to leaving the ground this summer. These funds are being used to purchase a new battery. We have enough battery to spin it up to hover power, but not quite much more than that. The battery management system is really a governor, and it current limits the system, so we don't have a thermal excursion. So unfortunately, we weren't able to fly the aircraft. We did spool it up like you see here today. Now, with respect to the announcement with Archer and United in Chicago, that's super exciting. They've got a really great vehicle, and I think they're going to do great things. And I look at Joby and Archer as the folks that are going to be mowing the lawn for us, sort of helping to set that standard. One of the ways that we can perform, I think, outperform Archer in the future, as well as Joby, is the fact that we've got a leaner, simpler design. There's no tilt rotors on this machine. We've got a fraction. We've got 2 actuators as opposed to 12, a minimum of 12 actuators that they have to actuate their motors. So from a certification standpoint, it'll be more cost effective to certify this vehicle than those vehicles. So when it comes to passenger mobility, I'm thinking probably closer to 27, 28 when we'll start to consider that. I really just, I don't need to be first. I just need to be the best. And we're offering a different experience. As you see, this vehicle has the potential to be multimodal, where we can do first and last mile. We do have some automotive companies that we have agreements with to do that segment of the work. We don't disclose or market that because we're keeping that quiet for now. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's not our first priority.
I know in the presentation you touched on the market opportunity, but in your words, like, how big is this market right now?
Well, according to industry analysts, I mean, they say the market, is supposed to grow to about $1 trillion by 2040. As far as right now, I think McKinsey is saying, it'll be under 10 billion by the end of the decade. I really haven't looked, to be honest. I'm really just focused on bringing the technology to life here and focused on defense and cargo.
Why did you decide to go the crowdfunding route?
Well, we had our objective was to flight test the aircraft last fall, and with that technical milestone came a significant investment from a current investor. When we missed that milestone, we also did not get the investment we needed. So this was just a way to sort of bridge the gap until we got a proper Series A investment. So, and also to give people an opportunity to get involved and before the big banks.
And I just want to remind everyone who's in attendance today, this webinar is for you. So if you do have a question, please drop it in the chat box below. Can your traffic management system be used by other companies too, or would it just be ASX?
So the objective is actually great question. The objective on the traffic management side is to spin that out of the company, because it's actually a substantially bigger opportunity. It uses short range wireless for vehicle to vehicle communication. And we would, the objective is for everybody to be able to employ that. So not something that we would just use for us.
I know you mentioned, we don't have to be the first, but we can be the best. How is the competition?
Well, look, I mean, we love competition. I think there's a lot of great competition that's really well funded, and they're doing great work. I mean, the work that Joby, Archer, Beta are doing is really great, and we just want them to be successful, because at the end of the day, their success, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And we are different. We are flexible. We are modular. you know, we're going to be able to produce vehicles at a fraction of the time that they will, just by virtue of the way we designed the vehicle for high run rate production. So that's how I feel about the competition. We want them to be successful. We're super excited about them, and we wish them well.
You know, with any startup, any new business, there's always going to be some feedback that you're getting. How much feedback have you received so far, and what changes have you implemented based on that feedback?
Well, from a design standpoint or from a marketing standpoint, you know, there's always feedback when it comes to um, propulsion, when it comes to energetics, and we certainly listen. I mean, we're still learning, right? And this vehicle that's behind me has really been a tool for us to learn and demonstrate some capability. So, you know, we remain open to continuous improvement, and you know, we're flight testing subscales now and learning from those as well. So we it, we are going to jump into a production intent design here this summer, and there'll be a number of refinements to the vehicle that you'll be able to see here with the new design.
Where would these vehicles land if someone wants to order one to be picked up in as if it was an Uber?
Yeah. Well, so in the future, when we do have passenger mobility as an option, there will be vertiports scattered throughout urban centers. Um, you know, we're really focused on using existing infrastructure wherever possible. Existing, you know, small community airports, heliports that have been, you know, let's just say that have the infrastructure to support electric VTOL aircraft. But ultimately, we will have our own vertiport design where we can employ a multimodal system where maybe a vehicle will pick you up, take you to a vertiport, plug into an aircraft, and fly you a middle mile to your destination. But we haven't gotten into vertiport design yet. We're still very much into the aircraft development. And so eventually, for Uber-like operations, a long-term vision is something will come pick you up. The near-term vision is you'll go to a vertiport and get into an aircraft and fly to a destination.
I know you mentioned this in the presentation. How many vehicles do you currently have?
So full-scale vehicles, just one. We are hoping to build another one this year, and with higher performing motors and larger rotors, and be able to lift the payloads that we are marketing.
Why is this the right time for the product?
Well, look, I think there's a lot of vehicles, you know, just like automobiles, right? There's, you know, two-seaters, four-seaters, caravans, minivans, pickup trucks. And what's particularly right about this vehicle right now is that it's flexible. It can do a variety of jobs, very much unlike our competitors. So we expect to be able to, you know, achieve much higher, you know, volumes as a result, just because of the versatility of the aircraft. So for this reason, we believe we will ultimately win this race because of the versatility of the machine.
No, this person asked, this is your second raise, right? What changes and growth have you made since the first raise?
Well, the first time we raised money, we were a tilt wing vertical and short takeoff and landing aircraft. When we did the math and learned that we need, you know, the aircraft would be have a 60-foot span with about 10.5-foot rotors and 6 motors on the leading edge. It's just too big of a vehicle. And we decided that, it's just too big. Nobody's asking for a VSTOL. And certainly it'd be cumbersome to have an aircraft that big, which is when we reconfigure the rotors so that, right now we're about 36 feet in span, and with 6 rotors and able to lift up to 6,000 pounds. So that is the major difference between the first raise and the second raise, is we've literally reconfigured the entire aircraft, built it alongside of an autonomous ground vehicle. So incredibly capital efficient since that first raise.
Joan, it seems you have a lot of plans with defense companies, which is definitely awesome. How much discussion have you had with healthcare companies? Major hospitals all have helipads. We are always ordering TPNs and other supplies. Needless to say, for clinch transfer of organs. Have you spoken to any major healthcare providers about utilization of your machine?
Something we have not, but clearly this is an application that could be a platform that can be applied to healthcare or Medivac and emergency response. We're really passionate about defense. We're passionate about emergency response. Firefighting is something we're very interested in. The ability to resupply the front lines of a fire with, chainsaws, water, food, supplies. When we start moving people sometime later this decade, the 28, 29 timeframe, one of the first concepts of operation will be working with healthcare systems. So something that we absolutely intend to support, just not the immediate concept at the moment.
How fast does this travel?
That's a great question. So, the modularity, the vehicle is optimized for mobility at the moment. So it's not designed to be a hot rod. We're looking at about 125 mile per hour cruise speeds. Really is going to give us the optimal range and endurance. If we optimize the payload system to be fixed, to have a fixed fuselage, it's more aerodynamically streamlined, we'll be able to see a much more efficient machine aerodynamically. We could, exceed 200 miles an hour. Not for long if it's purely electric, but it's really not designed to be a really fast machine at the moment. 125, 150 miles per hour max.
And would this be implemented with an app in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, mobility as a service is something that I'm really interested in, right? I mean, I don't really like selling the vehicle. My preference would be to sell the service. And we've got a trademark that is pending that we would use to deploy the vehicle under a mobility as a service plan. But again, the capital requirement for that is going to be very high. And I just focus on where can we make money in the near term, and take a very measured and risk averse approach to growing our business into passenger mobility. There is a very high likelihood that once we have the financial strength, that we will offer mobility as a service to passengers in the future using a mobile app.
As this ties into this next question, are there any other revenue systems you're thinking of?
So, revenue streams are key. I mean, obviously, cash is king, and we're looking at providing these vehicles for Department of Defense, on a sale basis. The other revenue stream would be this traffic management system, which we're in the process of testing now. But really very focused on, building the aircraft for DoD and getting it certified for commercial operations in cargo.
The ground robot is really cool. Are there other applications for it besides bringing the pods to the aircraft?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the ground vehicle has the ability to potentially tug the aircraft out of the hangar, position it, pre-flight it, and that's something that we will, when we have more resources, we'll be able to evaluate and test. I mean, these are big machines that, from a ground handling standpoint, one of the other jobs we'd like this thing to be able to do is tow the vehicle out of the hangar onto the ramp and, launch the vehicle.
What is the downtime for battery charging time, i.e., what is the projected machine downtime due to battery charging?
Well, the projected downtime due to battery charging is a couple of minutes. We're talking about swapping a fresh payload with a fresh set of batteries. So we actually are not going to be sitting on the ground very long waiting to recharge. But the time that it takes to recharge the battery really is dictated by, the state of charge of the battery. If you are, completely empty and you're down to the bare minimum 20%, it could take hours to charge it up, depending on the level charging system that's available to you. But if you're talking about short flights, 7 to 15 minute flights between the big city and the big airport or the surrounding suburb, you could be looking at a 15-minute turnaround time, 15 to 20 minute turnaround time on recharging the pod if the state of charge is 75, 60 to 75%. So, and I think that's one of the key things about us is we'll be able to keep the vehicle in operation and have a very high level of utilization because we can plug and play a fresh set of batteries.
What is the exit strategy?
That's a great question. So for us, there's a near-term opportunity with this defense company that we are engaged with. I'm super excited about that. I can't wait to talk about it. We just had a meeting to review the contract this morning, and to be able to partner with a very large defense company is a great opportunity for us to exit, or at least take it to IPO. So one of the two, either acquisition or an IPO.
Awesome. And will your headquarters expand to other cities?
Well, that's a great question. So, I love Detroit. I love Michigan. I believe that Michigan really has a lot of key elements to make electric VTOLs at scale. We obviously want to grow the company and expand it to, every city in the nation. So as far as moving the headquarters is concerned, if we had a strategic opportunity or a strategic investment by a city or a state outside of Detroit, we would certainly consider it. We're not going to take dollars to the product because we're passionate about our community. It's the business decision. So wherever is best for the aircraft company to grow and thrive from a talent perspective and a supply chain perspective, that's where we're going to go. So.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in, but I do have a question for you, John. If you can tell someone right now who is on the fence of becoming an investor, what would be the top 3 to 5 reasons on why someone should invest?
The number one reason you should invest in us is absolutely we refuse to lose. We are going to deliver. We've been in the business of developing electric VTOL aircraft and for the last decade, and you can expect that if you invest with us today, that we're going to employ that capital and we're going to deliver a return on investment. Number two, we've got incredible traction right now, especially with this large defense company that is agreeing to make a direct investment in us. There's really a short wick on this. There's really no reason outside of those two. Our strict determination to success and the fact that we've got a large defense company that's joining us those two reasons alone should be enough for you to join us. And lastly, be a part of transforming mobility. What we have here is a platform in mobility that is truly revolutionary. And we expect that we'll be able to do the job of moving things more efficiently than any other platform in the world, by virtue of the fact that we'll be able to eliminate waste between the air and the ground transportation modes. Lastly, I would say, at the end of this journey for me, it's always been about improving the quality of life for people, improving our national security. I really don't need wealth. I have all the wealth that I need personally. I will likely, donate majority of my stock to the community when we're done with this process. And so we're very community focused. We're focused on people. We're focused on our national security. So for those reasons, we're a great bet, and welcome you to join us.
Yep. I'm going to drop the raise page link again. And then for those who weren't able to attend the webinar today, don't worry. The webinar has been recorded this whole time. We will be posting the recap video on the Republic raise page. Yes, and if there's any other questions, please, direct them to John via the Republic page or reach out to him personally. Is there anything else we wanted to leave the attendance with, by?
Well, I'd say that, thank you very much for joining the webinar today. I think that you can see here, what we have here is an incredibly designed and manufactured prototype aircraft, and welcoming all of you to join us on this journey and be a part of the future of mobility. Thank you very much, everybody, and wishing you and your families the best.
Have a good one.
All right, cheers. Bye-bye.